All right, so we're finally cleaning out this van. This thing is just disgusting. Bought it in June 2015 and it hasn't been cleaned once. So we got to reorganize and clean this thing out. So I bought all this extra tubes and pipes, square and round. You can see the 1¼ inch and the 1½. I'll put them in here just to save space. So I bought a lot of extras. All right, guys, so we have the glue pulling tower here. I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like from setup to build and how it really functions. Let's get it going, baby. Okay, so here is two 6-foot, 1½ inch angle iron pieces. They're steel, and what I did was drilled holes all the way down from one end to the other. That way the foot pedestals of the jack plate, which is the base of the tower, can slide from one end to the other. And at the very end here, I put larger holes. That way this bolt can go through here, this goes in here, which is where you put your chain or your strap or whatever you're going to use to pull with. And that way you can get a downward force pull from this area. If you're doing like rockers or something like that where it needs to be pulled downwards instead of pulling straight out. And it goes in there. And I got cotter pins. And then I got these bolts here, 10mm bolts with washers. And you want to make sure your washer and nut is actually larger than the hole. And you make sure you do have washers so it takes some of that force when you bolt this down, because you don't want it to just mess up or whatever. Just make sure you have washers on both pieces to apply that force. And the same thing on this bolt here. I put washers on it, lock washer, and same thing there. So that's pretty much it for the stand or the sliding track. And this contraption here is two 1½ foot pieces of angle iron that I cut right here. You can see where I cut it. That way the jack will go over top of it, sit on it, and you have a downward force pull, keeping you from having the track from sliding in and out, and it stabilizes the track as an anchoring point. And what I did here, I welded this section that I cut off from here and here. I just welded it on top of here to give it a little bit more height so that the jack actually lays on top of it instead of just standing on top of it. You need something actually to push down on, so I needed more height. So that's what I did there, and I'll show you that in a moment. Okay, so when you're setting it up, the friction plate or the anchoring plate, that's what I call an anchoring plate. Place it in there, take your bolt, slide it through. If you're going to use this section here for the downward pull, go ahead and put it in there. Slide it through. Make sure you put your washer on and your, I forget what you call those, lock. What do you call these? I forget. As it keeps it from the bolt from coming undone. Then you put your nut on there. Just tighten it up a little bit until you're ready to go. And then I got these locking pins. Instead of putting bolts, I just put these for quick, easy field release. Just slide it in. Super easy. I bought 4 of them to put these in, but with this bolt here and this here, it's not going anywhere. So that's pretty much how it works. Okay, so I have my jack here. Okay, so I have my aluminum jack here, and all I do is literally place it on top of there, on top of the jack plate, anchoring point. And you can see that it's literally standing on it. So that's why I had to double stack these pieces here. So that way it would be on there. Otherwise, it wouldn't. And then you just jack it up. All you gotta do. Oh, the toolbox is in the way. So you just jack it up. Literally, that's it. And then you can put it on the frame rail or anywhere where a jack position on the vehicle is. And you just, so it's going to apply force to the vehicle and it's going to apply downward force onto this, keeping this stable from sliding in and out. And that's how the jack plate or the anchoring plate works. It's very simple. So now that we know that, that's how that works. Nothing fancy, doesn't have to be fancy. Very simple design. Very simple design. Okay, so this is the actual tower itself. This piece here, it's 6 foot long, and it's 1.5 inch, no, it's 1.25 inch pipe. So here's the jack plates. Got one, got two. So what I did, I had to bend these up to a 90 degree. They used to be flat like this at a 45. I had to bend them up 90 so that way I can drill those holes. And I slotted these holes here, you can see. That way it doesn't have to be super perfect on the holes that you drill inside of here, exact inches apart or millimeters. Slotted it, you can see. So I just got a single hole there and a single hole here and here, and then slotted there. And then what I had to do here, I had to cut out a little square sectioning so that the round tube here, which is 1.25 inch tube, can lay down to a 45 degree angle as you see on the tower. And what I have here is 1.5 inch square tubing with holes drilled in. And I got the cotter pin, or not the cotter pin, but the locking pin used as a thing to keep it from sliding in and out. And I can go from here all the way out to here. And this is 2 feet, this is 2 feet. So I think I can get about maybe 3.5, 4, close to, not quite 4 feet, which will give me pretty good height on the tower, depending on how high I want to go and how much leverage I may think I need, which I really don't. And then the bottom here, I got another anchoring point. I just drilled a hole, put this eye bolt through, washer, lock washer, and then a nut. And then I got this here, comes right in and out. So I don't even know why it's there. It was for one of my giant mobile tents I use to anchor down sandbags. So that's why I put that there for who knows why. But on this 1.5 inch tubing here, it's about 4 inches tall. You make it as big as you want. I welded a nut to it. That way I can screw this in and out and lock it into whatever height I want it to be in. And I can just use a 15 millimeter, loosen it up. Or I can build one of these contraptions here. This is a locking collar that I made. I put a bolt and a washer through it. And I could do the same. I could put this same piece here. And I just got to make one. I haven't done it yet, so I just put this in here temporarily. And how these work, they're locking collars. Slide all the way in. And you just tighten it. That way I don't have to drill holes through this very thick tubing, and then I have to put a cotter pin through it to keep it in place whenever I slide these anchoring systems in here, or this pulling sleeve. So yeah. So what I have 4 of these locking collars. They're 1 3/8, which is slightly larger than the 1.25 inch pipe. They slide it through the pipe, and then I just tighten this, and it locks it in place, keeps it from moving. So I'll slide this down the pipe, then I'll slide this down the pipe, and it'll rest on that, just like this. And then I can pull. And the great thing about it not having a bolt or a locking cotter pin through this is you can get full mobility 360 all the way around the tower, which is what I wanted. I wanted it to be able to oscillate on the tower without having to adjust this every 5 seconds. Because I could have mounted this into here, just welded a bolt on here. I could weld a bolt and just put this in here, and I didn't want to do that. So I made 3 of these, and these are weld-on D-rings. You can buy them. I don't even know where. I think you can get them on Amazon, which is cheaper than where I bought them. I bought them at Northern Tool for $10 a piece, which is pretty expensive in my opinion for weld-on D-rings. But they're freaking amazing. Better than going this route that I did. I tried to make my own weld-on D-rings, and it took over an hour just to make this one, and it wasn't worth it. And it doesn't really, it's kind of, doesn't move that well. It's kind of tight. But you can see this one, super easy moves, very simple. And then I took a boat winch, something you would put on a boat trailer to winch a boat onto a trailer. And I just made it to where this is actually my glue pulling chain, or this is what pulls the glue tabs. And I like it because of the absolute super ease of doing this number here. So easy. Better than taking your ratchet strap and trying to do that. And then once you get so much pressure on that ratchet strap, it's very difficult to tighten it down. And one thing that concerns me about ratchet straps is when you go to tighten it down, is that you got so much pressure on it, and then it wants to pop off and it'll hit you, and it can hurt. So that's another reason why I say use a safety strap, so that way it doesn't come around and hit you in the head or knock you in the testicles. Because, buddy, you might be in the hospital if that happens. Let's just be honest, fellas. Ladies, you don't have to worry about that, but I'm sure it'll still hurt like hell. Okay, moving on. Okay, let's show you how we set it up. So now that you know we got a single hole and a slot here, you can easily just place it in the back. You want to put it in the single hole first. So let's find a single hole. Boom. 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 Take your two nuts. Just hand tighten it real quick. And then you take your other one, then you find your next hole, and then you slide it in there. And having the slot inside of the rear plate or the front plate, at least one of them slotted, it makes it so much easier for you to place these bolts in through the holes. So much easier. So I just take my zip tool, 10mm wrench, and I just bolt it down. Money, it's like eating ice cream and cake. A blind man can see how easy that was. Hell, it's so easy a monkey can do it. Okay, originally I was going to use these locking pins to place in here, but it wasn't a good idea because there was too much wiggle room, because you got all that for it to slide in and out, and I wanted it to be tight where it didn't move. So that's how that works. And to be honest with you, all these holes is really unnecessary. All you really need is just one piece. You don't even need that. I mean, there's so much strength right here in this little triangle. I don't think you need all that extra room, 3 feet. You really don't need it, but I did it just for fun because, hell, I had nothing else to do that day. So really, that's why I did it. Okay. anchoring plate, bolt, 2 pins holding it in place, keeping it from moving in and out. These are just temporary nuts and bolts. See the slot in the back? Very important to have that, I think. You can do it in the front too if you want, make your life easier. This was such a simple idea. And I'm telling you, this sucker isn't going anywhere. This was 6-foot tube, 1.5 inch, 1.5 inch, and I welded it together. And then you got a simple tower. It's just a simple 6-foot, 1.25 inch tube that just slides right through there. It's easy. Okay. So I got my first lock collar in place. Let's just say our pull is going to be this low on the tower. I got these little things here. And that way it'll oscillate on the tower. Just slide it through the top. And it comes down. And the great thing about it being not fixed to the actual pulling tower is you can spin it, oscillate it in any direction you want. Full 360 mobility, which is perfect, in my opinion. That's what I like to see is that. Because you never know what kind of directional pulls you might need. Up, down, whatever, perpendicular, perfect, 45 degrees, who knows. And the boat winch is perfect. I mean, that thing is strong. I mean, that thing is not going anywhere. You can pull with this thing. I mean, look how simple and easy that is. That's very simple, very easy design. You don't have to use a ratchet strap. You can get wire cable, you can get chains, whatever you, well, not chains, I don't think, but you can get the wire cable winches as well, if that's what you want to do. But I like this material here. It's just, I just like it for some reason. I don't know why. So, let's say you want to make multiple pulls. Well, you take your extra lock collar, slide it through the top. Let's say you want it to be about this height. Boom. No problem. And then you take your extra sleeve and you slide it through the top. So in the same thing, it has full 360 oscillating any way you want it to be, which I think is very important. And you could just take your chain or your ratchet strap or whatever you want to use, hook it here, and then hook it to the pulling device you want to pull from. So there's that. Let's say for some damn odd reason you want to make 3 pulls. Okay. Put your another one on there. 3. I made a bunch of them. So that's, I mean, you can make all the different pulls you want, but that's really unnecessary. You're really only going to make probably 1, maybe 2 at the same time from the same tower. If you have multiple towers, that'd be great where you can make multiple pulls at once, which I probably will make 2 more towers just in case I want to make 2 or 3 pulls at one time, because sometimes you may get in a crazy repair like that and you have to. I don't know. It's very rare, but you might. So that's pretty much it as far as the simplicity of the design and how it functions. Really, I would recommend having 2 anchoring points on this tower. I got 3, 1 at the front plate, 1 at the bottom, and then I use one of these here at the top, and I put my ratchet strap, and I have a top anchoring point, a lower anchoring point if I can't use the front. So I always like to have 2. So, and one issue I have found, even though I have the front plate, is when I'm pulling, the tower kind of still want to lean up a little bit. So if you anchor it at the top and have something coming down, it'll keep it from coming up. So, but other than that, does that make sense? I don't know. I'll use this. I'll just slide it to the top. I'll put a chain on it or something and anchor it down to the hitch in my van or whatever I can. I'll use sandbags if I have to use sandbags to keep it from moving, or a tree or whatever you can get to if you don't have a shop like me, you're mobile. So, and it's super easy to set up, super easy to move around. It is kind of heavy because it's steel. You could buy the aluminum if you have aluminum welder. I have aluminum welder. I just went with steel. I don't know why. I don't know. But aluminum would be much lighter for sure. Have to carry around. So, if you liked the video, I'm glad you did. Hopefully, you guys can make your own version of a mobile blue pulling tower. Um, you can figure out a way to make it without having to weld if you don't have a welder. But, yep, it's pretty simple. Guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. As always, have a great day. Okay. So now, we're going to cut this out here, and here. So we can get a really 45 millimeter. beautiful. I'm gonna drill holes so that this can extend out. This is supposed to be that piece right there. So it's perfectly level. I used the level to level it. It's at a 45-degree angle and it's perfectly level. That way, when it's sitting on the floor perfectly level, these holes will be perfect going through. So, I'm gonna drill holes and we're gonna go. See how to scribe a line, which is the dead center. That way, I don't drill a hole here, and then drill a hole here, and then drill a hole here. They all need to be perfectly centered. So weld-on D-rings, these are not meant to be weld on, they're supposed to be bolt on. So I went with this route. It's much better quality than this route. Cleaned off the edges on that. After we cut them here, cleaned them there. This is what they look like cleaned. No edges, no rough, pretty clean, pretty straight. We're gonna file those out later on the inside. Get those nice and cleaned out. First, we're gonna weld these on now. So let's go straight to welding. Got a little too quick right there on the speed. Too quick. pretty uniform. Woo, that's hot. It's a good weld. And that, my friends, this goes to it. Goes in there. There's the pin. Only thing you gotta take off is that lock collar, the handle, this, and then it slides out.